Hello, is my mic on? Hello, good day, citizens of Earth, bruh. I'm so sleepy. I'm so sleepy. You guys notice anything? I was so nervous. This is a new model I'm trying out. I wasn't sure if my laptop could handle it. Hey, hi, Fairy, belated happy birthday, Fairy. Ewo. How are you? Wow, Megany. Thank you again for the sub. Thank you for the resub. Appreciate you for coming so early. Ewo. So yeah, it's been a while again, god damn it. But yeah, I'm testing out this new model. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna continue using it. I'm sleepy too. Isn't it about your it's morning. Early morning. She wakes up. It's kinda early for you, right? So yeah, I wanted to test out this new model. Is there anything new with me? How are you, everyone, by the way? Christmas is near. Looking respectfully, thank you for looking. You can look you can look disrespect. Just kidding. Clarky, how you doing? Z was here earlier. Hello, Clarky. Thank you for the boon. A boon. It energized me. It energized my sleeping soul. It's 2 a.m. Onyo. Go back to bed. Go back to sleep. You're probably still in bed. Go back to sleep. Belated birthday boy. What else am I gonna say? Nothing much. Just finished the school term. Waiting for my grades. Should be done by this week. Yeah, overall I'm so sleepy. I hope you guys were safe from the typhoon. It didn't hit my area as hard as we thought it would. Oh, 2 a.m. You're on your way home. Take care, my guy. Slash, hello Slash, how you doing? Mo Dragon. Slash. I'm sorry if I sound out of it. I haven't talked at all day. I woke up at like noon, took my coffee, then talked to my mom much because she was what was she doing? She was in a meeting. What else? You passed me already? No, thank you. I really hope so. The one that I worked the hardest on, my thesis. I got a good grade for that. It wasn't perfect, but I passed, and that's okay. Now I'm just waiting for grades on the 2 other subjects, accounting and global business. Tell mom hey, I shall tell mom hey. Thank you. Yeah. Should I be celebrating? I'm honestly too tired to celebrate and like too nervous for the next term because next term is like full-on thesis, full-on thesis, but the thesis proposal is approved. I'm just waiting for my potential thesis advisor to agree to be my thesis advisor. Then we do the full-on thesis next sem. If my preferred, I don't know if you guys, probably a lot of you have done your thesis back in college or something, maybe baby thesis in high school. My preferred research method, hopefully they approve it, is qualitative research method, wherein I interview some folks, some in-depth interviews, because you have 2 options, right? Quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative, you do a survey involving a lot of people. I don't want to do that because it involves a lot of math. So I want to do the qualitative instead. Maybe I can interview some of you, but maybe not because I'd probably have to dox myself. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. And if you guys could be so kind, I'm gonna play Genshin in a bit. You can lurk if you wanna play some games on the side if you wanna. Totally appreciate that. If you have feedback on this current model, Please let me know. Do you like it? Do you like it better than the one I always use? You can drop it here if you want to, or drop me a DM, or drop it on what was I gonna say? on this on the Discord server if you want to. If you have no comment, that's totally fine as well. You're always available for interview. Yo, wait, I'm sorry, Fairy. The interview is gonna be local. It's gonna be about Filipinos. I'm sorry. You're an honorary Filipino though. You're an honorary Filipino. Bro, if I had known, nah, it's supposed to be Filipinos because it's about Filipino marketing. Thank you though, Fairy. I appreciate it. Maybe we can pretend you're Filipino. Check one off the list. Marketing with a gun, exactly. Buy my product. I know you want my product. You're gonna buy my product at this price point, and you're gonna keep buying it until the end of your life, holding a gun. Oh man. I can act like a Filipino. I know you can. Absolutely you can. So like it's probably not gonna be out there, but my research, my thesis is gonna be social media ads in the Philippines. I can share you some links, and then you can tell me, I like this ad, beautiful, chef's kisses, you hold the gun, beautiful, thank you. You can be my research assistant, you know. You can hold the gun while I interview people for the thesis. So guys, you like it? You like this more, or you miss the old one? Is the change a big jump, or does it feel the same because the voice is the same? I really don't know. Recently I've been you like the model to VH. You like it more, slightly more than the older one. Isaac, Mom! Hello, Mom Sophie, Mom Isaac is here. Thank you for the hydration. How are you doing? Bro, Isaac is here. I'm so honored. Shout out. Isaac. You love it? Thank you. I might use it permanently if it doesn't lag, if it doesn't freeze, if it doesn't crash. Cause you know, honestly guys, this model, oh my god, there's so many things you can do with it. And if you can see here, it's quite close to my OG design, right? It's quite close to my OG design. And it has a lot of expressions, especially if I end up purchasing the full VTuber, VTube Studio. You know how in VTube Studio, if you connect a phone to it and use it as a camera, you can do so many expressions. I don't want to fangirl. Well, yeah, there's so many things I can do with it. And I stream today mainly because I miss you guys, and also I want to see if my PC can handle this model. Yeah, no crashing right now. Isaac, you love it? Thank you. I love it as well. I was attached to the older one. I kind of miss it. It's simple, but it works, and it's adorable in its own way, and it has a Pikachu face. It has a Pikachu face when I'm not talking. You're trying to look respectfully. Thank you. You know, I I don't wanna break the immersion, but the boobs on this one, it can go bouncier. I just minimize the boobs physics because I don't want it to be distracting. Thank you for the shouty. Of course, guys, check out Isaac, very cool friend, very cool streamer. I know Isaac through Yuffie, and I'm happy I got to know Isaac through Yuffie. I think we played a few times, right? Yeah. It is Mazam Isaac. Okay. What else? What am I gonna say? Have a good rest of your day, guys. I'm not saying goodbye yet. I'm just saying I'm gonna play. If you have other stuff you gotta do on the side, that is totally fine. If you wanna lurk or just like listen and still chat, I would totally appreciate that as well. I'm sorry if I'm yapping too much. You know, it's been weeks, I think. Jigglefish turned down. Yeah, it has been turned down. Wait. As a treat, since it's like our first time streaming with this model, do you wanna see? Full jiggle? Full jiggle. You came for the yaps. Na speechless. You came for the yaps. That makes me really happy because because the yapness is something I'm not fully confident about. It's mostly nervous yapping, you know. Oh my god, yes, you did redeem hydrate. Gomen na say, naubo na, oo. Hindi pa ako nagsasalita simula kanina pagising ko eh. You guys, Isaac, since you stream, do you do vocal warm-ups? Do you do vocal warm-ups before streaming? Jiggle. Come on, jiggle for me. I think this is the most... Wait. Jiggle. Maybe because the boobs are too small. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it bigger. Come on, let's make it bigger. Jiggle. Wait. It's not jiggling as much as I want it to. Jiggle. I wanna be like the other VTubers who have mega jiggle physics. Jiggle. I'm fighting for my life. You never do vocal warm-ups. Same. Nasa mid ka. It's Misha. Hello, Misha. I'm sorry you came at this time. I was trying something with my chest. It's not working very much, but yeah. Hello, Misha. How are you doing? Are you safe, my baby? Are you doing safe? Are you doing well? It's Misha. Naya na ako. It's just not in my DNA to have good boobs, good boob physics, so we'll leave it at that. So awkward. Sorry. Yes, I'm doing fine as well. You know, as I was saying earlier, the typhoon did not hit our area as hard as I thought it would. I mean, the whole day, the whole night, the wind was really strong, but I've experienced stronger typhoons anymore. Ultimately, why are my eyes closed? Ultimately, what was I gonna say? No damage. No power outage. We were safe. We were fine. I heard though, clipped. Thank you for the clip. I'm happy you and your family are safe. Thank you. You as well. I'm glad to see you here. That means you are doing okay. Okay. So yeah, I heard though, in some areas it was really strong and it was really devastating. But yeah, thank you for... I got Misha checked up on me. A few people have DM'd me as well. Thank you for checking on me, guys. The typhoon was stronger in other areas. For me, it was not as bad. How you doing, Misha? So yeah, I'm gonna do Genshin. The second part of the latest main story quest. I haven't done it yet. Us Filipinos must talk together. Exactly. Filipinos are strong, we are resilient, we are talented, and we are brave. We will brave any storm. I was actually, because the storm wasn't as bad, I was thinking of streaming that day, but I thought it might be insensitive for those who were having a hard time with the typhoon, so you know, scheduled it to today. Today would be perfect. No classes, no more schoolwork. My mom's home. She can take care of the dogs downstairs. I don't know why she makes a sad face. I'm not sad. I'm just gonna lurk. You're making flashcards for your exam tomorrow. Yo, headpats for you. Good luck, good luck. You can do it, you can do it. It's so... Thank you again for being here, my baby. Thank you for lurking. What was I gonna say? It's interesting to be in like the shoes of people who are studying. I give my praises, admiration, hats off to the students who are studying so hard. It's no joke. Sometimes I think it can be like even harder sometimes than work, you know, because you're like anticipating, because your work is gonna be judged, is graded. You love the model? Thank you. Misha, give me your honest opinion before you study. Do you like this more than the old one? Do you like... Isaac, I didn't have power for 7 days before because of the typhoon. I feel like I was in an asylum. No! Was it hot or was it not too hot? I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I can't imagine. Did you evacuate or did you stay at home? I'm just curious, Isaac. The old one is adorable. True. I was really attached to that. I was really attached to that one. I'm not even guaranteeing if I'm gonna use this one moving forward. Mikan said they like it. Fairy said they like it. Ultimately, I'm gonna be the judge. I'm gonna be the judge if I'm gonna be using this. Napakaganda ni Celphy. Natutuwa akong ligtas ka. Salamat, Fairy. Salamat. See, you're already very much a Filipino. The old one was adorable. Thank you for your input, Misha. Always appreciate your thoughts, your guys' thoughts. Really appreciate it, because you know I'm a person who can't decide. What do you call that? A fickle person? Like if you tell me to buy a shirt, I'm gonna take forever to choose a shirt. I'm gonna pick between designs, and when I choose a design, I'm gonna be like, which color is the best? As long as the horns are there, I'm good. Thank you. The horns are a big part of my identity. You can't take that away from me. You stayed at home. Nothing destroyed but lots of electric poles and trees fell and destroyed. Kasi nga ang lakas nung ang lakas nung hangin talaga. Like the rain wasn't strong here, but the winds were so strong na nababasa na yung yung loob ng kwarto ko. Loob ng kwarto ko, bro. I'm glad you're safe now though, Isaac, and you know, I saw you playing with Mawawaw. I'm glad. Same in my area, just a few trees. I don't know if some stuff were destroyed outside, like in our neighborhood. Probably not. I would have heard it. I would have heard about it. I'm just glad that we Filipinos, you guys are safe now. Isaac, saludo ko sa'yo for surviving 7 days without electricity. Yes, we are safe. Hawak kamay. What else? Just a few more things before we start playing. What was I gonna say? Was there a couple more things? Oh yeah, the 2 more things. So one thing is I want to show the full model. If you guys are curious, I don't know how to use this. This is the full model. Pretty close to the OG, right? Pretty close to the OG. And that's thing number 1. Di kita iiwan hanggang Dubai. Di kita iiwan hanggang Dubai. Wow, yeah, this is the full model. I like it. And for comparison, the older one is... There is the older one. The OG one. Let's not call her old. She's still pretty new. Very pretty. I know, right? I know. This is the Prism. That was the Prism model. This is the one I always use. Yeah. guys still remember me, right? She's not going anywhere. And I might use her still, you know. Yeah, so this is her. This is me. This is me. Oh, she is adorable in her own way. Yeah. Wait. Isaac. Where's the no one? Where's the no one? Where's the no one? There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. I can hear the dog barking. The dog's barking. Dog's barking. Dog's barking. Just letting you know, guys, if you guys are planning to get a dog anytime soon, Maltese, very adorable, but it barks a lot. Truly loud, playful dog, naughty dog. Genshin time, for real this time. So yeah, this is the second part of the current main story, and spoiler alert for those who haven't done it yet. Basically, we gathered the Nodcry gang. We have met Varga. Varga is leading the operations in the HQ. We got Yahoda, we got Nefer, Flins, and Aino, and Inefa working together to, you know, stop Rerir. Rerir is one of the sinners, and Rerir is a big bad enemy. And we're gonna do the part 2 of that. Arlecchino had a guest appearance as well. Arlecchino, one of the Photoway Harbingers. Arlecchino and who else? Lini and Lynette was there as well, you know, to help. We also got a bit of help from, what's her name? The other Photoway Harbinger. I forgot her name. The one with the robot. All is foretold. So guys, for real na to, go, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Enjoy, not cry. Where is it? Here? Is there no fast teleportation? No, there is no fast teleportation. Jorka! Hello! Long time no see. Oh no! No more Doro VTuber model. I see. It's on reserve. I'm trying out this new model that I got. Testing it out. But the Doro is still there. Do not fret. For the Doro model will be back soon. Probably when I'm playing like a really intense game, and I don't think I can do a model. I'll use the Doro. Yeah. Interesting. Thank you. Oh guys, have I shown you my Flins? This is my Flins. I spent all my gems on this guy, and he's really strong. And like, he's not as strong as those showcases you see on social media, but he's like one of my strongest so far. And I got my Flins team right here. Diona as my shield and healer. Flins, my main DPS. Ororon, Electro sub DPS. I know she's just my mask. I'm just kidding. Of course she enables the Electro thingy. Your strongest character is Mavowika. Yo, I don't have Mavowika. Why do I not have Mavowika? Maybe because I was saving for Flins. Mavowika is like really strong though. The Natlan gang is still pretty much. Did this robot just take a picture of us? It did. It took a Polaroid picture of us. Have you done the main quest, Jorka? Have you? I have not. I haven't done the second half yet. I've done the latest Orcan quest. How is it? I know someone who did it and they really liked it. As per what they said is that it was ultimate. What then? It was peak. It was absolute cinema. That's what they said. Did you like it?
Ah, 問題ない。ただ、ネフェルとヤホダさんは非分の館で情報の整理をしてるため。
It's good, but it feels like story bombing because there's not much breakpoints. Ooh, I see, I see. I've only done the first half. It was pretty good, you know. We got the thingy with Arlecchino. We found a bit of backstory, the love story of Rere. I shall know after I finish this. Last question, Jorka. Do you did you pull for Nefer, and are you waiting for any characters, saving for any characters? I'm waiting for Varka.
帰り道でイネファさんとアイノさんにお会いしました。調査は予定通り進んでいますが、もう少しかかるとのことです。
どことなく表情が明るく見えるな。
Mr. Flins?
ええ。与えられた任務を終えただけでなく、良い出会いがありましたから。
More than you
戦い
bargained
は
for?
退屈なものでしたが、この勇敢なお二人と知り合えたのです。
久しぶりだね。
Albedo! Was Albedo in the last one? I don't think so. It's been so long since I did the first one. I just remember the new characters were Varka, Arlecchino, and the magician twins.
Albedo! どうしてここに?
Yes, Albedo! I pulled Never and I'm saving for the updates. Why is he there? I don't know either. We're about to know, Mikan. Albedo! I will never, and I'm saving for Colombina, but I'm a bit scared of next update's reruns banners because if they're gonna rerun Shilonen, I have no choice but to pull because I have her C1. You need to get her C2 because her C1 is useless. What does her C2 do? I have Shilonen. I love Shilonen. But yeah, you're saying that you're saving for Colombina, but you're gonna be in trouble if they rerun Shilonen because ideally you want to save all your gems for Colombina, right? Everyone wants Colombina, I think. I want Colombina as well. They say, nah, I don't want to leak it, but I think I have a slight idea on what her kit is gonna be. C2 na red. C2 na red. Masarap yun. C2 na red. There was a time when I was like so health conscious. I was like into C2 green, but now I'm at this age where like I will enjoy whatever flavor I want. C2 na red. Wait, C2 na red my favorite? Yeah, C2 na red is very popular. Synonym C2 means more damage to your DPS. C2 green. Oh, you like C2 green. Very clean, very healthy, very pure tea. Pure tea tasting. Column baby. Column baby. Oh god. What I really like, I love about Nod. What I really love about Nodcry is they show Colombina right away. We already know what Colombina is all about. We even get to visit her every week. Every week for, you know, power-ups and rewards. I like that they're not teasing. They're teasing her in a way, but we're, you know, already attached to her. We know what she is like. Jorka, I have no idea who the next rerun is. I don't even know if I'm gonna save for Varka, although I'm very excited. I heard rumors that Varka is gonna be after he's featured in a banner, he's gonna be part of like the standard banner. That's what I heard. It's not confirmed at all though. Colombina, I really want her. I think she's gonna be good for Flins. That's what I heard. Why is Aino's house theme here? I have no idea, Misha. I'm just doing the main quest, and we learned that Albedo is here for some reason. I'm guessing you're here to see Varka. Oh yeah, because they are Knights of the Favonius. Maybe, you know, Varka is in the headquarters. He's kinda resting and leading the team because he just came back from like a big fight. Maybe he's asking for the reinforcements.
ああ、簡単に当てられてしまったね。
ワイルドハントと戦っている時に偶然こちらの2人に助けていただいたのです。ファルカさんの同僚だと聞きましたが、さほど驚きはありませんでした。優れた人というのは不思議と同じ時に現れるものです。
Like I has a lot of references and terms from the Finnish language, mythology, and folklore, by the way. Really? When Nordcry was being teased, I just heard it was based on some parts of Europe. I didn't know it was specifically Finnish. Maybe I saw like a thread on Twitter about Flins. Yeah, he is based on some Finnish names, Finnish words. Not so sure. Interesting though, interesting. What I really like though is that for Nordcry, there aren't a lot of bashing about the characters. They can't bash the characters because I don't know. it's a mix of, as you mentioned, Finnish themes. You're guaranteed for Colombina, then you must stay strong. Do not build pity on any banners before Colombina. This is a challenge for you, Misha. Do not pull on any banners. Save all your gems for Colombina. She deserves it. Your Colum baby deserves it. Na ano na ako dyan eh, dyan sa saving, ano yan? No, not saving, pity building. You know when you pull and you say, I don't want the character, I'm just building pity. And then when you get the character, you get mad. It's all on you. That's all on you. And it has happened to me as well. So that was all on me. Holy shit, you are alive. Oh my god, Draco, bestie, hello. Yes, I am alive. I am alive. I survived. How you doing, bestie? Hello. I think I made a mistake using my guaranteed for Nefer. I should have saved it for Colombina. I know I have Llama, but I still don't need Nefer. Jorka, I'm not very good at examining kits and whatnot, but do you mean to say Nefer and Llama basically serve the same function in teams? Are they ultimately like dendro applicators? Kirill, Kirill Chudomirovich Flins. Yes. Kirill Chudomirovich Flins. I am doing my best. So am I. I'm glad you're doing your best. At the end of the day, what are you doing? I'm doing my best. I'm trying to survive. When Never was teased, I thought her model was like so pretty. I kinda wanted her, but we have like back to back boys. So, you know, the funds are for the boys. In a bit. Although I did say I like Colombina, I think I'm gonna spend all my gems on Durin. I don't know, waiting on a good job opportunity, and I need a callback. I will be working at the hospital, a manager for food services. I really like it. That sounds like a job I would want to do. I mean, aside from, you know, the possible health risks, but hospitals are supposed to be the cleanest places, right? That's exciting. Please let me know. I do hope you get a callback ASAP. Manager for food services. So you're gonna be a manager. You gotta boss people around. This food is not good enough. It must be the best food for our patients and their visitors. I'm gonna get Yahoda. No questions asked. When is Yahoda banner? I don't wanna work in food no more, but it's all I know. Why don't you wanna work in food? Food is good, food is yummy. You get free food, right? I went in last week. I already bossed people around last time. Yes, you did. You kinda did, right? With your last job. You were sort of a manager in there. You're good with people. That's why you're good as a manager. And working in food is a plus. Because, well, you know, I like food. And I worked in a coffee shop before. I really appreciate, you know, the free food. You hate people? No, you don't hate people. Do you? They hate people. You know, there are some people who are like jokingly aloof, and they say they hate people, and they sometimes they even insult you or tease you or say bad things to you, but they can't help but love you. I don't know if there's a term for that. You know, when you have a gay friend and all your gay friend does is roast you, but you can't help that love them for it. I feel like that's the case with you. Not that you're gay, but you know, you have a personality that no matter what you say to people, they're gonna keep liking you because they know that when you say bad things, you say it out of love or something like that. I also love food. Meanwhile, me who's eating Oishi prawn crackers, yo. Is it spicy? Is it spicy Oishi prawn crackers? Whenever I buy jampong, Misha, I always remember you. Of course, it's spicy. Let's go. Do you like the sweet and spicy Oishi as well? I like that too. But I feel like it's spicier than the regular spicy, the sweet and spicy one. Oishi, oishi. Oishi desu ka? Oh my god, speaking of, oh my god, I'm yapping again. Oh my god. What am I gonna do? Why do I feel like this? Ew, what am I gonna, what's I gonna, my family, my mom and my two brothers, I go into Japan at the start of December. And I'm not gonna be there because I'm jobless. They're basically KKB. They're paying their own stuff, so I'm not gonna be there. I'm very excited for them, and I'm not sad at all that I'm not going because, you know, first of all, I'm jobless. I have no money, and I've been to Japan before. I'm just very excited because they're gonna get to go to Japan, and I'm gonna have a house all to myself. I'm not going to Japan, Misha, but I can bring you to my family. They can bring you. They're gonna stuff you in their maleta. Like I said, I came for the yap. Should I do a podcast? You're enabling me. Should I do a podcast? I'm gonna interview Hanya. I'm gonna interview Hanya and Euphonia. And maybe even Mikan. If Mikan wants. The Celphy podcast where we talk about nothing. Spotify podcast. Welcome to the Celphy podcast. Today we have no agenda. We are just gonna yap at whatever we see, including albedo. Albedo, guys. It's such a controversial a deep and controversial how am I gonna be a podcaster if I keep saying deep and controversial character? He has such big lore beneath him, but a lot of people are bashing him for his hair design. They're saying that they really need to update his hair design because if you look at his like visuals in social media in official artworks, his hair is not supposed to be this flat. But I like him just the same. I think it's adorable. I like short kings. I can't yap like you do. Of course you can. When you're nervous, you can yap like this. But what? Wait, what do you mean you can't yap? We have played a lot of times together. You yap. I know you can yap. Take notes from Joe Rogan. Bro, Joe Rogan. Is Joe Rogan like a polarizing person? I feel like he is. Like, he's a comedian, right? Or he's like a podcaster slash comedian who is given his podcast when when you become a guest in the Joe Rogan show, especially if you're a comedian, you get a boost in your career. But I think he said some problematic things as well. I don't know. Joe Rogan. He is very controversial. COVID stuff? Why is he anti-vaccine? Is he anti-vaccine? Yeah, I think he has like had some controversial guests as well. I don't know. No, I've never listened to a single Joe Rogan podcast. I just know I was just watching those YouTube videos about the rise and fall of Mikan. And when you watch the rise and fall of Mikan, there's always a Joe Rogan factor in there. Like Joe Rogan helped him succeed or whatever. Or when they were a guest, they said some really controversial things. I only remember Joe Rogan as "That's crazy." Is that his catchphrase or something? Or was it a clip that became a meme? Molly, if you find the VOD where Molly played Roblox, hear my shenanigans. Can you? Misha, I'm so sorry. Can you link the clip to me if you're not too busy with your flashcards? You got so used. That's fine, Misha. I know you mean me. Molly. Is it Molly or Molly? Because it's supposed to be molecule, right? But I feel like Molly. Muscle memory. That's fine. Mag-aral ka na nga dyan. Huh? 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 Tsundere mode. So who's your travel buddy, Alvedo? What happened, Vella?
みんなに挨拶するんだ。
My net. Oh no! What happened? Is it your Wi-Fi? You better be on your Wi-Fi, because I really do not support anyone watching with their mobile data, because I feel like it's such a waste to use your mobile data on me. The second Molly. Molly? Like molecule? Molecule? Molly. Molly. Michelle! Michelle! Look! Look!
こちらの物静かな紳士もご友人なのでは?
Molly. Molecule. Okay, okay. I will keep that in mind. Updating my memory base. Molly? It's not Molly. It's Molly. As in molecule. The child. The baby. The dragon. The Durin. Wait, those horns. It's our first time meeting him in his human form. The 2-year-old kid. Yes, baby. He's only 1 minute old. No, just kidding. I don't know how much time has it been. But yeah. You were there, Misha. When, you know, the Albedo stuff.
はじめまして。いや、久しぶりかな。
It looks like you. Oh, we have the same purple hair and the horns. Yeah. And this is Durin. So for those who don't know, Durin used to be like the almighty dragon monster. I'm sorry for my bad rendition of it. It was in lore wise, you know, there's an area called Dragon Spine, and he was the dragon in it. And because of a lot of stuff happening, we had to turn him into a human. Paralogism. That was a really great story. And I'm glad I got to stream it with you guys. Share it with you guys via stream. Also, another note, I found a VTuber who kinda looks like me. I forgot what their name is. They have the same purple hair, same twin buns. I think green eyes as well and horns. But the twist is they are a dragon. They're not demon, they're a dragon. Maybe when I find them again, I'll link it on Twitter or something. Maybe I should start drama. Have you guys seen the drama? Some people are annoyed that some VTubers look like them. I think that's so stupid. It's hard to be like super unique in this space, you know? Thank you, Misha. I'll watch it later. Vaporize her and amalgamate with her essence. That's a great idea. I will do that. Who says I can't do that? I still have a bit of my demon powers, you know, demon powers. How do I copy that? Copy. The deep one is me. Thank you. I'm just gonna save this in my notepad so I can watch my Misha later. Thank you for reminding me that your voice is deep. I keep forgetting that the baby has a deep voice. Doste, Nande, why does the baby have a deep voice? It's so... It catches me off guard, but I guess it fits you, because, you know, at the end of the day, even though you're a baby, you're still a boy. If I were a boy...
お前チビドリンか
Mini Durin.
そうだよ。会えてよかった。
本人によると、
I really like his Japanese voice.
チビはつ
I
けな
don't
くて
know
も
how
い
he
いみたい
sounds
だよ。
like in English. But yeah, I'm I'm such a big fan of Japanese voice actors. I'm really a weeb that way. I'm gonna be honest. I like English anime voice. They do a regular face. Anime voice Japan. You do this face. He says it's okay if you drop the mini. Doesn't wanna become
もう
mini.
小さい子供じゃないからね。
I'm not as mini as I used to
面
be.
白いと思わないかい？人間社会への第一歩が自分の名前と見た目が合っているか気にすることだなんて。
今のお前いい感じだな。元気そうでよかったぞ。
Celphy, Shewo, thank you for the Quintana. Kamusta, Quintana? Quintana, how it's wow wow! Wow wow! Hello, pretty wow wow. Have fun on stream, just dropping by cause we not. Why are you outside? You're touching grass again. I wow wow you more. I wow wow you more. Thank you so much for dropping by. Even though she's outside, she dropped by. I am so touched. Koreano pala to. Annyeong. We have a Korean in chat. Behave properly, guys. We have a Korean in chat. We don't want to be judged by the Koreans. We are not loud and boisterous Filipinos. We are good. We are nice. Annyeong. Annyeong. Annyeong, oppa. What do you call an unk in Korean? There's a term for unks in Korean, right? Are you an oppa or an unk? Ano kulay ng laway ng Koreano? I'm an American. Oh yeah. We have American in here. I'm sorry, Dwayko. Dwayko, my bestie. I'm always out when the sun is out. Is that why you're so beautiful? Because you get sunlight every day? Is that the secret to being bright and beautiful like Euphonia? Ano nga sa'yo? Ang sumi-suminida. Do you live alone? Put your number in my iPhone 16 Pro Max. Ay nako, Sean Solo. No? The Hongdae guy. He has to upgrade to the iPhone 17 Pro Max now. Mama, do you live alone? I don't live alone. I have dogs, I have mama, and I have brother. Yeah, words of flattery will only get you so much, lady. I tried. It's better to have tried than not tried at all. make up. And what? No, make up make me beautiful. What's that? Make up make me. Make up makes you beautiful. I thought it was all natural. But anyway, the makeup suits you well, my wow. I remember now. Your eyeshadow and a little bit of lipstick. The juicy red lips of the wow. Why? I sound so creepy. The juicy red lips of Euphonia Olve. You must check it out. So beautiful. You want the jacket too? Yes, I want the jacket too. Laban. Laban or bawi. What? I'm just saving to buy a new phone. You know what? When I was Misha, when I was lurking in one of Molly's streams, I thought I saw you chat that you were saving for a new phone. Yeah, good luck with that. Sun 2, nothing but burns my soul. Oh my god, I pray for you. Although I am a demon, I pray for you. My beautiful wow. My beautiful wow. Please save your mobile data. Please save your mobile data and battery. OMG, Celphy. Yaki! Ow! Tiger. It's my tiger friend. Why did my voice go so low? Shout out, devil. Yaki. 20k? The phone you're saving for is 20k. Do you mind if I ask what phone it is? It's the Yaki. How you doing, Yaki? Are you at home? Are you having dinner? Oh my god, I still forgot to disable the grab tap thing. Grab tap, you're still at work. Go home. It is time to go home. Go home and watch me, focus on me, listen to me, put 100% of your attention to me. I demand attention, pure attention, no work. I guess it's good. It's good, bye for... No, your kidney should be worth like that. Your kidney should be worth... I just heard my mom yelling at my dog. I thought she was yelling for me, bruh. Infinix GT 30 Pro. Ooh, 30 Pro. 30 Pro. Did you guys hear my mom? Probably yelling for my dog. The dog's so naughty. The dog's so naughty. It's a gaming phone. Let's go. You can play more Genshin in there and Wuwa in there and Star Rail in there. If you've if for some reason you I just heard my dog barking. Can you imagine the tiny dog with such a loud bark? I thought my mom, no, I thought so as well. She's talking to my dogs like they're human. Sabi, kumain ka na. I think pretty much in a bit, in an hour or 2 hours, she's probably gonna call for me. Bark, bark. It's a nice addition, right? The barking and the yelling makes you feel like, you know, it's a Filipino home. Finally, for Plants vs. Zombies. My dog, exactly. Exactly. Man, I should take more pictures and videos of the dog. It's so big now. It's a lot bigger than the last time I showed you guys. Eh? She's a lot bigger now. Based Plants vs. Zombies. I've never played Plants vs. Zombies before, but I think I did play like a zombie shooting game with Yaki and the gang before. I forgot what it's called. I really have like a bad brain. Belated happy pepper doy. Oh yeah, it was 11/11. Belated. How was Pepper Day in your homeland of Korea, Jopish? How was it? Was there a lot of pepero? Did you buy pepero? What exactly do you do in Pepper Day? Cause like in Japan, right? What's the Japanese equivalent of pepero? I forgot what it's called, but it's like yeah, I for that too. Thank you, Yaki. In Japan, Pocky, right? Pocky. They do like the kissy thing. What did they do in Korea for Pepero Day? I can finally play Genshin, WoW, HSR, ZZZ, Blue Archive, Arknights, Ulma Musume, COD Mobile. What is League of Legends Wild Rift and Asphalt 9 Legends. Those are really based games. I probably haven't played like 2 or 3 of them, but I heard they're really good. Let's go, Misa! I'm so happy for you! I'm so happy for you! White Day! Yes, White Day, where you like a month after Valentine's Day, if you like the girl, you give the girl something, right? Cause in Chopish, if you're not on the Discord yet, I would be happy if you join. It's not much, not a lot of stuff happening in my Discord, but I like it. I treasure everyone in there, especially the memes and the selfie tributes, and just, you know, for reaching me in case I go off the grid, I go MIA, and all of them are heavy. Oh my god, true. I'm so happy for you, Misha. What was I gonna say? Especially for Genshin and WoW, you can play them at like medium or high. High graphics now won't be a problem if you have a gaming phone, I think. White Day is the day to return to those who gave you something in Valentine's. Yeah, because in Japan, for some reason, Valentine's Day is when the girl, usually, or someone, I don't know the gender non-gender biased term for it, but the girl usually proposes to the guy during Valentine's Day, right? And if you like the girl back, you're gonna give something back to her in White Day. I don't know why it's like that in Japan, but that's how it is. Man, if I was a Japanese high school person, I would have so much anxiety. I would probably never confess to a guy. Kasi diba dito sa Pilipinas, uso lalaki naliligaw. But in Japan, it's kind of like a free game in there. Free game. Which is kind of based.
パイモン、ありがとう。改めてよろしくね。
じゃあ解明ついでに オイラのことは偉大なるガイドの
And the
愛の
last-
妻って呼んでくれ。
Kala mo, bibigay sa'yo sa likod mo pala. Aray ko. Lumakit tuloy yung likod ko. Celphy, it's been 4 years. Where my confession at, bro? You know, you don't read between the lines. You have to read the subtext and the context and the implications. You gotta be, you know, a little bit delusional to see that I've already confessed to you in our DMs. You just didn't see through it. You have to backread everything, and in one of our chats, I might have confessed to you already. You just didn't know it. You said the Pepero and Food channel in my... Oh, so that's why you joined the Discord. Thank you, Jumpish. You know, you really didn't have to do that. You could have put it on Yuffie's, but... Yeah, thank you for joining. Tapos biglang umalis, no? Pagkatapos i-post yung Pepero. I'm autistic, and yeah, for autistic people, you gotta be more straightforward because, you know, they're not gonna get it unless you say it to their face. Autism's gonna end soon. It's gonna be winter. Subtext, context, talk and text. Exactly. Are you globe or smart? No, I'm talking text. I forgot that talk and text still exists. Does it still exist? Yeah, there's still talk and text, right? Subtext, context. I actually think a diminutive is warranted. What is a diminutive? Little Paimon is pretty tiny after all. She is. Emergency. Food, talk and text still exists.
愛らしいものにしか
I'm personally on Globe because everyone in my family is on Globe.
それは人とのつながりがあって
Globe.
初めて得られるものだ。
ラウマさんの
I
言う
played
通り
Spotify for music, but it went to relapse, so I stopped. What do you
人
mean
とのつながり
relapse?
というものを
What do you
勉
mean it
強
went
す
to
る必要がある。
relapse? Stop your Spotify. Listen to me. Not just kidding. Aren't you supposed to be studying, little Misha? Aren't you supposed to be doing your flashcards? Listen to some music. Do you have a music? Do you have a study playlist? I'm just curious. Because I have a study playlist. Because I am a student. Wink, wink. I'm a student. I am also an education. I am a person doing education. Fellow kids. Oh yeah, they're brothers. Technically, are they technically brothers? Albedo and Turin.
皆と一緒ではないのか。姿が見えないようだが。
コロンビーナなら昔の友達とおしゃべりしてるぞ。私の話あまり悪く言わないでね。
I'd rather listen to you. You cheeky little boy. Your study work playlist is Beanie music. That's good. That's good. They have really like energetic songs, right? To really get you in the mood. My God, Misha. Speaking of Beanie, my brother is still so obsessed with them. He recently bought a lot of Payless Pancit Canton. Was it Payless? No, was it Payless? It was a Pancit Canton brand that had a Beanie partnership. I bought so much, but the caveat is the flavor is only spicy, and my brother is not good with spicy, so I have to eat all the Pancit Canton that he bought for Beanie. Crazy. I forgot the brand name, but it's like a bigger Pancit Canton, and it's brown colored. Listen to Tubero for study music. Is that an artist? Tubero or so? Handa na ba kayo mga inutil? Wah! Hati tayo, Jofish. But because you're in Korea, we're gonna eat not pancit canton. We're gonna eat chapaghetti. Chapaghetti, hati tayo, mahal ko. Hindi ko maubos yung dalawang pansit. Ang too petite for pansit canton. Hati tayo. Miss ko na pansit canton. Malayo ka ba sa Filipino store, Jopish? You eat chapaghetti and you eat shinramyun. And all the fancy Korean buldak. All the fancy Korean noodles. What does chapaghetti? I have no idea. Chapaghetti is like I don't know, like Korean pancit. I don't know. There's this particular flavor of Korean noodles that I don't like. The black bean one? I forgot what it's called, but it's like black bean. I don't like it. Miss ko na siya. Suntukin kita dyan, Misha. Yung miss ka dyan. Bawal yung miss na yan, ha? Mga pusong bato tayo dito. We don't miss anyone. We don't miss anyone in this house. Kaya ka nag-relapse. So that's what Misha meant by relapse. Oh my god, my baby is feeling feelings. Ew, black bean. I know, right? I forgot what it's called. What is quite popular in Korea. Black bean flavor. No, I'm just gonna Google it. Chapaghetti. Jajangmyeon! That one I don't like. I'm sorry for the jajangmyeon lovers. I love most Korean flavors, just not jajangmyeon. Masarap ba? Not a big fan of it. Maybe it's acquired taste. We ate some last week. Was it instant or was it authentic? Maybe the authentic tastes better. Nah, I'm just joking. I don't like anyone. Yeah, our love is reserved for fictional characters, because those fictional characters are never gonna reject us or you know, they're not gonna make us cry. Masarap siya here. Except, Misha! Did you hear me stomping my foot? Misha, mag-aral ka na nga. Batang to. Authentic kimchi here taster. How different is it? Is it spicier? Is it more sour or sweeter? Sometimes there's kimchi that's kind of sweet, right? I kind of like kimchi when it's a bit sweet and not too spicy.
皆さんの表情から察するに、そちらの任務もうまくいったようですね。
随分と大所帯になったな。蒼月の子から椅子を運んでこよう。
You know, there's like a little meme. Why Genshin characters are always standing up when they're talking to each other during story quests. I love Kimchi, Lao Mama. She is indeed a mama. Mikan, did you know that she's the tallest female character? She's the tallest female character so far. I love Kimchi too, yes.
大丈夫だよ。
Miss ko na
もし足りな
mag-samgyup.
くなったら
I miss
錬金術
samgyup.
で作ろう。
All you can. It's been a while. Been a while. Magkano na pa siya ngayon? Around 500 to 600, right? I must coax my mama to take me samgyup sometime. I must accompany her in one of her, you know, errands and tell her, Mama, I want samgyup.
お気遣い
I sound like a spoiled child.
だが私は
Bibitaw na yan kay Chinatsu na Mikan is the strongest warrior when it comes to Chinatsu. Masira na ang lahat, mawala na lahat ng tao. Basta si Chinatsu andyan. 650 on romantic baboy. Yum! Yum, yum! I want melted cheese and I want lots of beef strips and unlimited kimchi and the sauce. And you know, sapat na yung 1 cup kasi you're gonna be eating 1 cup of rice kasi you're gonna be eating a lot of meat. Right? Baboy pwede rin. Kaso yung baboy matagal maluto eh. Pag gutom na gutom ka na, mas masarap yung maraming beef. And if they have it as well, you know, the Korean pancake, I love that. Korean pancake. And the egg, you know, the egg thing in a bowl. I don't know how to describe it. It's like scrambled egg but in a bowl. And it's hot. Piping hot. Tara, Sumoniko. Sumoniko is the one with Wagyu cubes, right? The one with Wagyu cubes. I love the Wagyu cubes. Samgyup salamat, mas bet ko. They feel like all the same for me, but I think the last one I ate at was Sumoniko, probably. It sounded Japanese and they had Wagyu cubes. For additional 100 pesos on top of your, you know, eat all you can thing, you can have unlimited Wagyu cubes as well. 1 cup lang, kuya, kanin po dito. Of course, you're different, Misha. You're a growing boy. You're gonna eat more than 1 cup. It's just that for me, you know, since I have slower metabolism, 1 cup lang. 1 cup lang. Or maybe less, because I'm gonna be stuffing myself with beef and kimchi. I don't eat rice only thingies. Give me all the lettuce. O sige, sa'yo na lahat ng lettuce. Pag dumadating nga yung lettuce sa table namin, nilalagay ko sa sa side ng nanay ko. Siya yung mahilig sa lettuce. kanin lang sa akin. Kanin and meat. Your metabolism is skyrocketing. Give me some of your metabolism. Just kidding. Enjoy your fast metabolism, Misha. Enjoy. Eat all you can, eat all you must. Meat is life, yes. Meat is life. You must get your... You guys know what ROI is, right? Return on investment. So when you pay 500 to 600 pesos in a... in a eat all you can meat restaurant, you gotta get your money's worth. So if a plate is like 200, you gotta get like 3, 4, or 5 plates of meat to get your money's worth. Enjoy the while again. Yeah, and I don't know why, for some reason boys have faster metabolism than girls. Feels like. Cause when I started college, and then after that, feels like the boys could eat whatever they want, and girls would, it would be easier for them to put on weight when they're not even eating as much. But the boys can eat like carpinteros, They can eat like multiple cups of rice. Even with little ulam, they can eat so many. Best 13 cups of rice. Joe Fish, let's go. San yan? Was it in a restaurant or at home? You remind me of that Filipino TikToker. I think it was banned from... Was it Mang Inasal or KFC? For eating so much. Maybe Mang Inasal. Because they have only rice, right? Got banned from eating so much. I won't have slow metabolism. I'm skinny AF. In a bit, when you reach your 20s, it's gonna slow down a little bit. You can't get fat. It's a good... I think it's a good problem to have. Having too much money. Having a metabolism that's too fast. I think those are good problems to have. Because, I feel like... it's easier to gain weight than lose weight, I think. Time to chill because my laptop screen is having a seizure. Oh no. Misha, when you say that you're making flashcards for your math test, are they like digital flashcards? Or do you still do them the old-fashioned way with, index cards? Or whatever paper? Just one big pork chop against the rule. Yum! Tapos kung lalagyan mo ng maraming sauce or gravy, mapaparami ka ng kanin. Yum, yum, yum. Digital. Digital flashcards. Neat. You're too lazy to write. Exactly. Were you here when I was talking about my comprehensive exams? Bro, it was 4 hours of handwritten essays. It was so much pain because I don't know how to write anymore. My hands were like shaking. My mind was racing. My heart was beating so fast because I had so much coffee. And I wasn't sure if I could eat, although I had some cookies at my desk. Crazy. Kahit gravy na lang, wala nang ulam. Oh, you're just like my brother. My brother loves gravy, especially KFC gravy. Dadala pa nga siya ng kanin sa KFC minsan eh. Buti pinapayagan siya. When I turned 18, I got buff. I don't get fat. I got buff. Chopish, muscle reveal. 43 kilograms. Sabi naman yung 43 kilograms na yan. 43 kilograms at 5'11"? Masyadong payat yun, Masyadong payat yun. Good thing you bulked up. You got yourself buff. 39 to 40 at 5. I'm gonna cry. I'm just gonna cry. I'm gonna end stream and cry in the corner. Small and cute. Small and cute and skinny. Yeah, just saying, Misha. Eat as much as you can because you have a really fast metabolism. I'm so glad that you like food as well. Just don't eat yourself too, until your tummy hurts. Just eat as much as you want. The milk teas and all the snacks that you want. Cause pretty sure time will fly pretty fast. And when you turn 30 or 40, you're gonna be like, I wish I still had my metabolism when I was a kid. My broken molar says, no! You got nerfed! All my height went to my height. What do you mean? What do you mean, Jopish? Your weight went to your height? Or your height went to your weight? Did you become fat and then did you become fat and then did you become taller and skinnier? Yeah, it should be like that, right? Because nobody decreases in size unless they're like really old. She gained weight and then you became really skinny but tall. He's 7 feet now. We got an NBA player right here. Sana ma-scout ka ng talent managers dyan sa Korea, Jopish. Bring pride to our family. Our country. Oh yeah, I was thinking about that, Misha. I owe you a mukbang. I even noted the anime that we were gonna watch. I owe you that. I will get to that soon. I was fat in childhood, skin and bones during puberty, then normal at adolescence. Imagine a cute fat little Jopish. Cute. Nasingot ako dun na. What do you mean nasing? Your skin and bones during puberty, then normal at adolescence. That's great. So you mean to say earlier that your weight became, napunta yung weight mo sa height mo. You became a skinny and tall adolescent. During puberty. I give you pride, Bareta. Tatanggapin ko yan. Ang mahal na ng bilihin ngayon sa grocery. Did you guys know? Do you guys go with your mom or whoever shops for your family? Do you go to the grocery to go grocery shopping? Everything is so expensive now. Even the Pride Bareta, the Tide Bareta, everything is expensive. Kinard, I was the tallest at kinder. Really? How tall were you? And did you maintain your tallness up until your elementary and high school days? I was small, skinny, and anemic during puberty. Anemic! I used to be anemic. Okay, Celphy, I edited that clip a bit and sent it to you for your post wherever. Okay, thank you so much, Fairy. However, I cannot believe you're still here. Oh yeah, because you were on your way to work. I see. Hehe, thank you. I will check it out. I am thin, always have been. But just the right amount of thin. I think healthy kind of thin. Bestie, in my opinion. Like, you're not like gonna be blown away by the wind. I think you're cute, even though you're skinny. And skinny is not a bad thing. It's even like the ideal, right? The ideal. Everyone wants to be model thin. Anemia is life. Take your supplements, bro. Take your supplements. They always tell me when I was anemia. They just what do you call it? It wasn't official diagnosis because I was so pale and people would always assume that I was anemic and they would tell me to eat liver or whatever. You're in bed. Let's go. Big boy in big bed. Don't let Sophia know you called me cute. I will clip this and send this to her. And emphasize on your chat name. I can do that. I will do that. I'm just kidding. You're small now. Oh no. But small is cute. I like my short kings. Look at these short kings right here. I love them so much. In fact, my favorite character is Xiao, the shortest adult male in the history of the world. No, in this game. Your funeral. You can't touch me. I'm like I'm a million miles away. I'm a million miles away. What you gonna do? What you gonna do if I called you cute, huh? What you gonna do? Is she gonna cancel me? No, just kidding. I bet she's nice. Meanwhile, we're old cousin towering me. You know, Misha. Are you Gen Alpha? Are you Gen Alpha, Misha? Answer me. She's from the Netherlands, so maybe it's normal. If they're mixed, if they're not like purely Filipino, it would be so understandable if they were so much taller. Because, you know, their genes be like that. I don't think you saw it, but I posted a very old pic of me from 10 years ago. I don't think I saw that. I might be Gen Z. Baby Gen Z. You know, Gen Alpha, they're just, you know, so big. I don't know what they're eating. Maybe it's the evolution of, you know, the food. They're just bigger. Even us right now, we are bigger than our generations before us.
助力に
They're
感
just
謝
gonna
する
keep getting taller. What? What?
KOYO_VT just cheered 1,000 bits.
What the heck, Kayo? Kaya, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you for the bits.
KOYO_VT just subscribed for 9 months.
And the subscription, Kaya, how you doing? Where did I understand that right? I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Thank you so much. How you doing? How you doing? I wasn't expecting that at all. Ooh. WND. Wait, I should shout out the Kaya. Kaya with the big box. Yeah. Shout out. Kaya VT. Check out Kaya, guys. There you go. Kaya is an old friend of mine. We last played Repo, and they're very good at it. They played it up to like the highest level in vanilla mode. Yeah, thank you so much, Kayo, for the bits and the sub. Wait. What were we talking about before the shock of my life? Lechon? Why is there lechon? What's the contest of lechon? They're big because they eat lechon. Who eats lechon 3 times a day? I'm sorry, Misha. I got lost. I got lost in the sauce. Money blinds me. Just kidding. Or am I? No, when you don't stream a lot, you imagine so many things. Like, what if I were to rebrand? If I were not a demon NEET, what kind of VTuber would I be? Sometimes I think I wanna be a money-hungry VTuber, but that's being too transparent, right? That's being too transparent. If I eat like 20 times a day, my blood might go Super Saiyan. Oh god, na-crave tuloy ako ng lechon, lalo na pag bagong luto. And you know, the skin is still crispy, and there's like layers of fat between the meat and the skin. Ang jarap, Kinar, that's true. I'm pretty average in height compared to other people my age, and I'm the tallest in my family, not including unks and the grandparents. At least you're the tallest in your family. You get to tower over them.
KOYO_VT just cheered 500 bits.
Thank you. Wait, are you hacked? Why are you giving me money? I will gobble it all. You know that Spider-Man meme? Was it Spider-Man? Oh, no. Batman and Iron Man throwing money at each other, and then Spider-Man is picking the money off the floor. That is me. Lechon kawali. I love lechon kawali. My mom loves what do you call the thigh of the pig? Pata. Crispy pata. That's her favorite. 1,500. I am rich. I can buy you and your house and your family. Thank you so much, Kaya. Thank you. Hearts. As I was saying, this model, there's so many things you can do with it. I think it has expressions where you can do waves, etc. I just haven't played around with it yet. I just wanted to test your guys' reactions on it. May pang-samgyup na ako, Mikan! Do you think I can libre my mama as well? Maybe, right? Maybe malibre ko rin si mama mag-samgyup. I'm already thinking of the logistics thing. I don't think you're allowed to buy people anymore. Says who? The Geneva Convention? The American Constitution? As if that's gonna stop me from buying people. Nuh-uh. I can hear but screen ain't moving. What happened? Is my screen bugged? I don't think so. Tama ng Celphy, maglaro ka na. She's zapping, the screen not moving. So, what do you mean? Oh, am I good now? It's all good, thank you. Maybe it froze because my camera is not the best. My VTuber tracking's not the best. It's like at the lowest setting, cause you know, have a not so amazing laptop. I love my laptop. I love my dear laptop, but you know, it doesn't have high specs. So if you see me playing a game or anything, everything is at lowest setting. Not frozen, just busy yapping. Ganun talaga. Talakera. Talakerang palaka. Okay, I reset it. It's normal now. Mande!
Koyo_VT just cheered 500 bits.
Kaya! Thank you! Thank you so much! I am spoiled. Wait, has Koyo said anything? Are they... I have 2K, I'm rich. Oh my god, I'm so rich. May pangsamgyup na ako at may pangsamgyup na ang pamilya ko. Baka pwede ko rin ilibre. Oh, you know, we have 3 dogs, right? And we don't like... Ka-ching! Ka-ching! We don't like celebrate their birthdays. I don't even know their birthdays. But I think for Christmas, we're gonna treat them to some beef steak. Just saying, because you know, I'm not. We don't celebrate their birthdays, and they're gonna be spoiled. And I might just beef steak. No, just steak. I love beef steak though. Lalo na yung beef steak Tagalog. It's saucy with calamansi. It's saucy and tangy with soy sauce and calamansi and onions. Can I be your dog? Misha, you have a better life than my dogs. But if you wanna apply, no, it's open. It's open. If you're fine with eating dog food, I go. Thank you. I really wasn't expecting it. Kaya, such a Chad. Dropping those monies on me. I'm not used to it. Mag-Genshin na tayo, guys. Mag-Genshin na tayo.
真の友人であれば互いに礼儀にこだわる必要はない。こうして親しく手を取り合えたことよ。
またね、アルレッキーノ。
I really hope that when she becomes playable, there's a part where she, during her battle animations, where she opens her eyes. I bet her eyes are so pretty. Wait ka lang, in 20 years, bibigyan kita ng piso. Misha, I will look forward to that. 20 years. I will be 2020 years old by then. Not bad. Still young. Tandaan ko yan, ha? 20 years, you're gonna give me a peso. Why is Warka in there?
入ってみればわかるさ。
After yapping for an hour and a half, we're only at the beginning. Piso with 6 zeros. Is that 1 million? 1 million pesos! I'm gonna be so rich. I'm gonna start counting my chickens. Pretty soon, my baby Misha, my smart baby Misha is gonna be smart and is gonna get a really good job. Let's go! Thank you for the let's go! Yaki! Guys, in 20 years or so, this guy, Asmodeus Genshin, is gonna give me 1 million pesos. And I'm gonna have so much wealth, I'm gonna give a trust fund to my babies. My babies will have a trust fund. Counting your eggs or your chickens. Did I say chickens? I'm gonna count my eggs. What is the saying? Counting my eggs before they hatch. Yes, counting my eggs. I have plenty of eggs. 1 million eggs to be precise. Zeros na sa decimal niya.
入り口で話してたことは聞かせてもらった。コロンビーナの同僚が帰った。
Ayun lang. That's fine, as long as it's from Misha. It's the thought that counts. You guys think in 20 years a candy is still gonna cost like How much is a candy now? I always thought it was one candy, 1 peso.
誰の同僚なんだ？
Anything from Nisha is fine. I'm gonna be so proud of that baby. When he grows up, he's gonna be a big shot professional. I can see it. I can count on it. Good morning, Your Highness. Penny! Hello! I am not a highness. I am a lowness. Your lowness, Celphy. Kneel before me. Hello, Penny. How you doing? 4 pieces, 5 pesos in our store. 1 piece is 2 pesos. Ah, it has inflated. Inflation has hit the candy market as well. I kneel, thank you. You may rise now. Sound like a priest. All rise. You may seat now.
この中で俺を知っているのは旅人とパイ。
I was so busy yapping, I didn't notice Dine's leaf was here. So that's why Varka was in there. It was a Dine's leaf. So is this like an Avengers thing? We're gathering everyone against Rerir, the threat of Rerir. Sinner level threat to the world of Tevat. Is that it? All rise, all rise. I want rice. I want fried rice, actually. I wonder what we're having for dinner. Yesterday, I had my favorite fish, cream dory. Cream dory, fried cream dory. Breaded fried cream dory. That's my favorite fish. Frankly, you and Pam are the only people I know here. Then why are you with Warka? I made spam musubi 3 days ago. Yummy! Spam musubi! Haven't had any kind of Japanese food in a long time. Did you have nori as well? Did you wrap it in nori? 3 eggs and meat and other stuff. You're eating rice, Penny! Yum yum, eat well. Eggs and meat and other stuff. Sounds like a filling and healthy meal, I think. You know, it's so weird here in the Philippines. They say rice is unhealthy for you, but I saw like in some Western countries, probably like America, they think rice is healthy. They say Japanese people are skinny because they eat rice. However, there's this mentality that if you eat rice, you're gonna get fat. It's weird. I made a batch of rice for 2 days. Yo, do you like bulk making things so you can eat them for later? I think that's very smart. Spam musubi is from Hawaii. Really? Really? There's like Hawaiian fried rice as well, right? Yummy. I just know there's a lot of people in a lot of Japanese people in Hawaii. That's why some of their cuisine are inspired by the Japanese or something like that. Who's the guy? There's this big bulky guy who did the Hawaiian food thing. I can't stand you, the really so. No, really. I don't know how to take compliments anymore. Why does it look like the meme? The meme where they're pointing at the back.
自ら名乗らず人に紹介を任せるとはさぞ高貴なお方とお見受けします。
It did match with his
何
mouth.
か言いたげな顔をしておるが。
You're not giving compliments. I am compliments. You're a walking compliment, huh? Are you? Are you? It's nice to give out compliments. You know, these days, I feel like my brain is rotting. I feel like I'm being radicalized by the things I see on Twitter. And it's so rare to see nice people, nice compliments. So, you know, if you can give out those compliments, you never know when you're making someone's day.
先に名前を言われてしまった。
ダインがオイラたちを探しに来たってことは何か大事な用があるんだよな。
もしワイルドハントが
Is
俺
this
たち
like
の共通の敵だと言っ
an
たら
international problem now?
席を
Not just a
用意してもら
Nordcry
う。
problem? Because he's here as well. Albedo came here as well. You're always nice. And that's a really good quality to have. Honesty and kindness should be your priorities. Bawal nga pala mag-bits or sub dito. Bakit? Bakit bawal? Well, it's not bawal. Ah, because you're in Korea. No need at all, Joby. No need. Appreciate the sentiment though. Appreciate the sentiment if you wanted to. Even in spirit, give me your love. Give me your money. Give me your, whatever you can. Pabili sana ng chubby chocolate. Chubby chocolate! Is there a bite-sized chubby chocolate? Bite-sized chubby chocolate. Don't worry. As a first-time customer, I'm giving it to you for free. Or do you want it to be like in sari store style? Will I make lista your utang? Hapon, pumunta ka dito para bumili ng sardinas. Tapos ngayon, isa namang chubby chocolate. 200 pesos na utang mo, ha? 100 pesos na utang mo. Then sit. My philosopher self is acting up. Twitch to business. Oh yeah. Wait, Jopish, how are you watching? Are you allowed to watch but not donate? Is that how it goes? All the chubby are bite size. I see. Now, ayaw ka ng utang, baka huntingin mo ako. You're gonna be hard to hunt because you're in Korea. Pagbalik mo dito, nakita ko nakikipaglaro ka kay UP, Little Company, Peak, whatever. Bigla akong jump sa call, tapos sabihin ko, oy, Jopish, utang mo. Albedo came here with Alice for a different... Alice! Dane is here because of her, and Varka is just here for some reason. I think, yeah, Varka is here for some reason. A mission. Before this, though, he was helping quell the wild hunt. 1 year, 2 months, 7 days. 1 year, 2 months, 7 days. Misha. I keep telling you, feel like I've known you for a long time. From South Africa, even farther from here. You'll be harder to hunt. I'm allowed to watch, but no monetization stuff. I see, Jopish, I see. I'm gonna look at your pepero stuff later. Peperote, yay! 1 year and 2 months. We technically had our anniversary a couple of months ago, right? Our friendship? Yeah, friendship anniversary. 6 months, 9 days, and 18 hours, Kinar! Yo! It's been half a year! Congratulations to us! I forgot when I joined. I keep forgetting dates and times and stuff. It's totally okay. I just know that we've known each other for a long time. I feel like we've known each other for years. With an S. It's harder to hunt and expensive to hunt. Yes. So it will be in your best. It will be in your best interest not to accumulate any debts from me, because I tend to hunt down people. But the further you are, the harder for me to hunt. So it's fine. Bata pa ako. Bata. Jopi, 7 months. Bata pa yan. How come it feels so long with you as well? Maybe it's because even if I'm not streaming, I see you around UV stream so much. Maybe that's why I feel like I've known you for a long time. I feel like... Misha, you were... Wait! That means you've only been on Twitch for 3 months when you discovered me. Is that it? Mikan has a 9-year-old account. You're a Twitch pioneer. You were on Twitch before it was even a thing in the Philippines, I feel like. Yes, you joined the Celphy. The Celphy! 2 months after you created your account. I think when I first met you, I was playing Star Rail or something. Star Rail or Genshin, one of the other. I guess so.
久しぶりに会うのに最初の命令が椅子作りだなんて懐かしいね。
アルベド、本当に懐かしく思ってるのかな。
I'm still learning social cues. Jopish was created 5 years, 1 month, and 11 days and 3 hours ago. Ah, that one is a liar. How about me? I think I created my account in 2022. Checks out 2022. Misha, the thingy is bugged. You're just a soul. I am but a soul, a tortured soul, wandering the earth. I can't remember how I met. It's fine. Probably recommended my Twitch or something, or maybe because sometimes I tend to chat a lot in friends streams, so maybe you found me there. I don't know. I don't know if I get shout outed. Sometimes shout out really works. I get some new followers when people shout out me, and I'm very thankful for that. Peak or repo, yes. Either way, it was through Euphonia, right?
お前のお兄ちゃんだろそういうのはオイラたちよりもお前の方がわかるんじゃな
I
いか
can't be emotional. I can't be, guys. I forgot to mention this. I recently played the final main story quest in Honkai Star Rail. Honkai Star Rail. Off stream, of course. And it made me cry so much. I don't know why I was so emotional. I was crying like buckets. I was ugly crying, and I was so glad I wasn't streaming it. I don't know. Sometimes I get really emotional. I can't be emotional now. I can't be. Pusong bato. Use Malani in the Phlogiston cave. Genshin! Genshin! Maybe you had Misha in your name back then. Then I was like, oh, I love Misha, or something like that. Wow! I read that. Oh my god. What did you read, Jofish? The story, final story?
僕まだ言葉を勉強
It
中だ
was
からアルベ
it
ドの
just
言い回しを完
definitely
璧
they
に理
did
解するの
cook.
はちょっと難しいんだ
Imagine crying while having to fight Iron Tomb. It was an insane time. It was an insane time. It was quite long, but I remember just wanting to finish it because, you know, mapuputol yung yung feels. Back in my day, Celphy did not stream as often. I still don't stream often. But thank you if you're able to drop by the rare streams. See, you were Misha Asmodeus Legwork, the full name of Misha. Misha Legwork. Misha. Do you remember? December. Malapit na magpasko, guys. Christmas is soon. Christmas is soon. What are you guys gonna do for Christmas? Do you have Christmas stream? Misha, we can do a Christmas themed mukbang while watching anime. Waiting an day checking if I see a selfie stream notif. Oh no, I feel so guilty. But thank you. Ginanga, libre na yung chubby. Ilang chubby gusto mo? 5? 5? I love you so much. I love you so much. 5. You get 5. Selfie, guess how long I've been playing Genshin? I've been playing since 2021. How long have you been playing? 2 years? 3 years? Or did you start playing at day 1? Depends. But as Madeus mentioned, is my OG username. Yeah, that's why I'll always be Misha to me. It'll always be Misha. You know, sometimes I see you in other people's streams. I don't know why or how. And they always call you by Asmodeus at first, right? Asmodeus. Day 1 release! I'm so proud of you for holding on and keeping it strong. Although a lot of competitors, it was Star Rail at first and then MOA. I'm glad that you're still here. Parang ako may-ari ng Genshin eh, no? But yeah, I salute everyone who sticks with Genshin. You stopped? You stopped? No! That's fine, that's fine. I stop sometimes. What will I do on Christmas work? Yopish, may pasok ka ng 24 and 25?
そっか大丈夫だぞ
Genshin took a toll on me. It can get overwhelming and it can get burnt out. That's why I stopped for like a year. Kaya's finally here!
Koyo VT just traded with 6 viewers.
Hello, Raiders! Kaya Raiders! Hello, welcome! Hi! Kaya! So that's why you were dropping by earlier! Because you were streaming! I'm sorry, I missed it! Hello, Kaya's Raiders! Welcome! Hi! I'm Celphy. We're playing some Genshin right now. How is you? Wait! I can't shout out. Wait. SO. Welcome, Raiders. Please check out Kayo, guys. As I mentioned earlier, Kayo is a good dear friend of mine. A good dear old friend. What were you playing? Did it work? Blue Protocol Star Resonance. Mia! Hello, Mia! Hi! Welcome! Hello, Raiders. I am Celphy. I haven't streamed in a long time, so I'm sorry if I'm awkward. But yeah, we're doing some Genshin. And welcome, gamers. And, gamers and Raiders and Code. I missed you. I missed you too. I lurk on your stream sometimes, cause you know I'm doing stuff. Hello, it's Code Sesame. Oh wait, Mia is sus. Aren't you the sus one, Code? You're smoke screening when you're the sus one here. Just kidding. Wait. Blue Protocol. Is that the new MMO? Is that the new MMORPG that all the Hololivers were promoting when it first started? Are you enjoying? Because I see Mocha playing it as well. Are you guys enjoying it? Mia is the sussiest. I don't believe you. I'm with Mia on this one. I watch Mia streams a lot. She doesn't seem that sus. Not as sus as you. No, just kidding. I see, she loves me because I stick with her. Shout out. Mia. Yeah. Ooh. Kayo, are you tired? If you're tired. What? Shout out. Wait, SO. Yeah, I'm with Mia on this one. God is the sussiest. Just kidding. Or am I? I made a pretty black kid. Is it evidence of your sus accusations of Mia, Code? There you go. Hollow Knight, such a gamer. Silk Song is harder than the OG Hollow Knight, right? And SO the Code as well. Sorry, Celphy, I have to head out. See? You're such a chat. Thank you again for the raid. And for dropping by earlier. I am so rich. Take care. The stream will indeed be beautiful. Check out Mia, guys. Mia is also a Pipino like us, I think. Yeah, Mia is Pipino. Code is not, but check him out as well. A very based Genshin player. Very based. I also use his. We're also friends on Starrel, and I use his characters a lot. Kababayan ko. Code is not Filipino because he is sus. Truly. If you're not a Filipino, automatically you're kinda sus. Why are you not Filipino, huh? Why are you not Filipino? Thanks for the SO sus. How many times are showing their feet on cam? Did Mia ever show their feet on cam? I must see. You now have E2 Siren. Congratulations! I really loved the final installation of the Amphorius main story. I think before the raid, I was telling chat how much I loved it, how much I was ugly crying and bawling my eyes out while playing it. I do have Siren as well, but I know my Siren is like E0, no signature. But she does well. I think I put a nice. Her speed is not sufficient yet, but I think she ults pretty nicely. Celphy, I have noticed you like lurking when I'm online on Twitch. Every time I check who is in chat, I see my Celphy. Are you taking my soul? Little by little, that's how I acquire souls, you know? Thank you, Twitch, for partnering with me as I acquire souls on the streamers that I lurk on. Mia will always remember now. You've clipped it? Mia showing her feet? Is that why you're accusing her of being sus? You are the sus one. For thinking that feet are sus. Just kidding. Thank you for tagging along to Kayo's raid. Thank you again, Kayo. If you're still here, but if you're not, thank you, guys, for being here. Even Akane called her sus. Akane? Called her sus? No, I'm still with Mia. We gotta stick together. I believe in her. If she says she's not sus, she's not sus. But I will be secretly looking for the feet clip. Feet indeed. Am I a feet connoisseur? Nah. I'm just interested and specifically in Mia's feet. When am I gonna stop saying creepy things? Well, Sophie, I'ma head out. Don't be too cute to chat. I will always be cute. Wink, wink. Just kidding, Fanny. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Pretty soon, I will be getting 50% of your soul, and just a bit more streams. I'll be getting 100% of it. She deleted it on her Twitch. Injustice. Injustice. Where's the justice in the world if we cannot see Mia feet, huh? Maybe she will paywall it. Maybe she's gonna paywall it. We just gotta wait. Just gotta wait. And even if she does paywall her feet, she's still not sus. You'll still be the king of sus. I kinda miss Akane now that you mentioned her. Akane, wherever you are, I miss you. Yikes. I miss you. I miss you, Code. Your Sophie gathers enough souls, she transfers her most beautiful model. Do you think I can be even more beautiful than this one? I can be 100 times more beautiful than this one? How many more souls do you think before we can, take over the world? Or at least take over Twitch? Someday, if we gather enough souls, we will be on the front page of Twitch. Even if, there's only like 5 to 10 people here, we will be on the front page of Twitch. The selfie sexy model is I know what you're talking about. The one where, where I'm in my swimwear, right? With the tail. The 3D one. That is my best. That is my evolution. Maybe. Gooner mode selfie. I don't goon. I am the goon. I'm just kidding. You're already beautiful. Thank you, Misha. My sweet, honest boy. Always telling me honest words. Honest comments. Honest flatteries. Not just kidding. I think mostly everyone who compliments me are honest. But yeah, sorry. Last thing before we continue with the Genshin. Let's continue for about 30 more minutes. For the raiders who came with Koyo, you guys can rest. Lurk if you want to lurk would be appreciated, but if not, it's totally fine if you have to do other stuff. Thank you for being here. Arf. I just gotta accept that my dog's barks will always be part of stream. Did we ever continue Genshin now? No, this is just chatting with a bit of Genshin. Can I say a bad word? F. It's already near 7 p.m. Oh yeah, your advanced time. You're in the future. 1 hour into the future. Jopish, is it dinner time? Is it din time?
ネフェルさんは情報収集に長けている反面、何やら秘密を隠しているように思えます。そして彼女はおそらくそんな彼女の秘密に踏み込むなど僕にはできません。
ならば私であれば問題ないということか？
英月氏のあなたは僕よりも親しみやすい。それに女性同士ですから僕が行くよりも会話が弾むでしょう。
I feel like Flynn has a bit of Riz in him. He's like a Rizzer. Subtle Rizzer, like low-key a Rizzer. I remember he was talking so smoothly to Columbina as well, their first meeting. And people started shipping them, and then, other people got mad that he was just being polite. It is, I can smell the food from here. Oh, ulam. What you guys eating? You know what, Chopish? I just remembered Korean rice is kind of like Japanese rice, right? Delicious. Big round fluffy rice.
知恵というものは他人に仕事を任せるときにこそ進化を発揮するものです。
あるいはそもそもやらないという選択肢もある。
Smell air. Why? Wala pang ulam? Or are you gonna eat your ulam from lunch? I don't even know what we're having. I saw some meat. I saw Mama took out some meat earlier. I don't know what she's gonna do with it. I still have a lot of cream dory. I might eat that as well. Fried chicken, yum! What kind of fried chicken? What kind of fried chicken? Pinoy style? Or like KFC style? Jollibee style? Yum yum. Pino barbecue. Oh, I had that like last week, I think, or last weekend. Sarap. And then you dip it in not sugar. What was I gonna say? Vinegar. Vinegar, spicy vinegar. Anything fried chicken that I can pair with gravy. Check chat in a little bit. It's already so cold when next week is gonna be negative degrees all week long. Selfish! I hope you have a lot of winter clothes. I'm sure you have winter clothes, right? I hope it doesn't get too cold that you can't move or that you'll start freezing. Not pipino as in cucumber. Yeah, I think you meant Filipino barbecue because barbecue in other places are different, right? Yeah. Why are we talking about food? Magkaka-diarrhea ka sa December 23, 2025 at 8:03 p.m. You've been cursed. You're gonna start coughing in 2 days, and by December 23, 8:03 p.m. magkaka-diarrhea ka. How unfortunate. I have barbecue every day. Why? Why do you have barbecue every day? Do you have a lot of pork?
しばらく自由時間にしよう。
Selfie horns.
忙しくなる前に
Do you like the
楽し
new
くお
horns?
しゃべりしとくといい。人が揃うま
Yeah,
でな。
this is the smallest version of the horns they have. It can go bigger, but I think this is pretty big already. No, 8 ball. No, I don't have 8 ball. Sorry. Gamen. Gamen niya. I hope I remember to deactivate the other chatini things. Chatini. Sarap no barbecue. My horns, my back, like my... Just kidding. Chat with everyone while you're waiting. Hello, boys. Hey, man. Worka.
こうも人の多い会議に参加するのは久しぶりだ。
Salt and pepper dip. Salt and pepper dip. Yummy. Rara Pantera. Yeah, I really like that she calls her Chatini. And I think the boys are called Chatinos. I've never watched her. I really like when I see HoloLive members clips, HoloLive tweets. I really like it. Although I don't really remember watching them. They're so cute and funny. Chatini.
同じくです。僕の所属している組織ではあまり大勢で顔を合わせて話し合うことがありませんから。だろうな。俺が知ってるライトキーパーといや、お前とあのイルーガくらいだ。イルーガは優しくて誠実で、定期的に僕の灯台に物資を届けてくれます。どう考えても僕よりも本物のライトキーパーでしょう。
Have we met Iluga? I don't remember.
じゃあお前は偽物のライトキーパーってことか？別にそう言いたかったわけじゃないだろ。おい、何か言えよ。すみません。僕は無意味な嘘をつきたくないのです。あなたも沈黙を選ぶのですね。ああ、なんだ。ここだけの話にしとこう。
Is it his secret that he's a fairy?
ええ。若い友人に多くを語る必要はありません。お前の正体を知ってる奴は他にもいるのか？あまり鋭いと危険を引き寄せてしまいます。安心しろ。風神バルバトスに誓って。
Barbatos mentioned, Venti mentioned.
酒の席でバルバトスを親友だと言っていましたよね。その誓いは信じられるのでしょうか？当然だ。おっと、俺がバルバトスと仲がいいってことは誰にも言うなよ。
I didn't know that. He drinks regularly with Venti, and they're practically best friends. Understandable though, because they're like known to be drinkers.
もちろんです。お互いに秘密を握り合うのもある種の友情と言えるでしょう。
They're bonding. They're bonding. Dying sleep.
何か言いたげな顔をしているな。
ナドくらいに来てるなんて知らなかったぞ。もっと早く声をかけてくれたらよかったのに。
いつものことだろ。
うん、確かに。それもそうだな。あ、そうだよな。お前も宿かどっかに泊まってるんだろ。どうせなら同じ宿に泊まらないか。
Varka has a hidden stash of booze. I'm not too surprised, but that's how close they are. Of course, no alcohol escapes Venti. Do you remember the summer event? Venti was there for mostly for the wine, for the alcohol, I think, and also talking to Mabuika, doing stuff with Mabuika. Is Dane Sniff playable na? No, he's not. Jovish is not. He's never gonna. Not just kidding. They launched him, right? They teased him that he was gonna be playable, and now we're like a year to go before we reach the final nation of Teyvat, and he's still not playable. Heck it. Tingnan na nyo, Genshin, ano na? Mana-nerf na yung design ni Dane Slave. There's gonna be so many better models now and still not gonna be playable. Yes, for the wine. The wine challenge was really stressful for me. I didn't know what to do. Kahit tagal na indeed. Genshin already, Hoyo already has two games in the making, right? The one where you there's a cute upcoming Hoyo game. I forgot. It's like I don't know how to say it, but it's like a farming sim thing. Oh yeah, because he's from Kanria. Maybe after, hopefully after this we go to Snezhnaya for real, and then they can do Kanria. I don't know, or they can do both. They can do both. We already have a taste of Kanria through Ririr's backstory. Ririr. Mari Hivari, yeah, we had a little tease of Mari Hivari as well. Kinda met Bennett's parents in there. Bennett's parents. Exciting. I love Genshin lore. I love Genshin lore, especially when Misha tells me more about it.
それが望みならそう言えばいい。叶えてやらんでもない。
直接お願いしても、同じ宿に泊まろうっていうのは冗談じゃないぞ。
礼を言う。
Dying Sleeve. Columbina. Oh, the cuties. The trio of cuties. Damn silly. Can't wait to get home and eat potato corner again. Yo, potato corner, miss mo na rin. So we miss pancit canton and you miss potato corner. You know, Jofish last Christmas, I think potato corner had a promo where you can buy the potato corner mascot as a plushie, and my mom bought that. No, my brother bought that as a Christmas gift to my mom, and my mom was so pissed off. She was really annoyed. Really annoyed of all the things you can buy me. Really, the potato corner mascot. What's your favorite potato corner flavor? Kenjiritsuda. No wonder Dine's voice sounds familiar. I do remember that he's being voiced by a popular JP voice actor. Sour cheese. Ooh, tapos bagong luto. Ano, yum. Crispy on the outside and soft and really hot on the inside. How was it? Sour cheese. Fries. Yes, fries. Loopy Terra Mix. Loopy. Is that like McDonald's Twister fries? Loopy fries? Kenjiro does the best meal voice. He does. I remember like shrimping for him in one of his voice notes in Twitter back then when Twitter still had voice notes. He did like a voice note and I was like, it's so hot, and then I even sent it to Yuffie. Yeah, Loopy fries, chicken popcorn.
自分の館で待機させて
Yummy! Yummy!
情
The
報共
potato
有と
corn is like a
関与は
very
月
popular
の狩人につい
French
て
fries
もっと詳しく
chain
調査するつ
here
も
in
り
the
だからね
Philippines. And
So
they
the
cook it
goal
fresh
is-
for you, and you can choose among many flavors. Sour cheese is very
次
popular.
はないって言
Sour
ってなかった
cheese. He voice all the daddy, daddy. That's it. He has a daddy voice.
思い出したらどうすんだよ
Nanami, is that a character he's voicing? Nanami, Nanami,
はるかさん
the one
何か
from
言ったか
JJK, right?
いや
Is it
何も言ってないぞ
Nanami? The one with
まあ
glasses?
グリ
The
ー
workaholic
カエルか
guy?
何かが泣いたのでしょう。こ
Damn
の辺は
it.
特に元気ですから。夜中にコンサートを開くこともありますしね。まあ、
I really
カエル
like
のことは気にせず、本題に入るとしよう。
I really
これ
like
だけ
that
の顔ぶれ
character.
が
I
揃う
was so
会議で
shocked when he
進
took
行
off
役
his
を任せてもらっ
glasses.
たこと、光栄に思う。
Used
まず
to
は
now.
それぞれの立場を軽く整理してこ
I haven't
などくらい
continued
の壮月
JJK.
の
Was
こ
there
の
a
英月誌
continued
ラウマ
JJK? There's a continuation.
自分の
I think
館
there's a
のオーナ
new
ーで
season of
優
Spy
秀な情
Family. I
報
wanna
屋でもある
watch
ネ
that.
フェル。ネフェルは月の狩人の情報を調査中だ。ヤホダとラウマは彼女のサポートに回ってる。顔を見たところ、調査は順調そうだな。で、
Not just the Nod Gray
Light
gang is here, we have
Keeper
special guests as well. We're going all out for the rear battle.
今
You
回
wanna
の
hear
作
a
戦では
spoiler? Sure, I don't mind. I hope chat doesn't, huh? They probably don't care. Give me the
それか
spoiler.
ら
Give
セ
me.
ピロス騎士団
Give
調
me.
査小隊隊長兼錬金術師のアルベドだ。で、こっちはそんなアルベドと一緒に俺を手伝いに来てくれた新たな
Nanami
友人
died in
の
season 1. I'm not
そち
laughing,
らの
I'm
お嬢
just
ちゃんが
kind of
月の
sad
騎士
because I also was
元
spoiled in
ファドスの
several
ロンリー
anime deaths as
そ
well.
して
And I
旅人
really, I'm not that
肩
affected,
書きが
but
多す
that's
ぎるから
sad.
今回は省かせてもらうぞ。
That's sad. At this
その
point, I'm
最
just
高の仲間であり
okay. I guess all the hot men are gonna die. Yeah, Gojo. I got spoiled with
すごい
Gojo's
人
death as
数
well.
だな
I too am
今
sad.
回の作戦は大掛かりだぞ
あ、それとネフェルには新しい依頼が入る
Is
か
he
もし
really
れない。
dead? Dead?
繁盛してるよ
Is
う
there
で
no
何
way
よ
to
りだ
revive him?
こんな時に誰からだい
俺だ。頼みたいことがある。
あんたは
Is that dead?
それは重要ではない。月の狩人の情報
I
を調
think
べ
my
た
model
後
can be sad.
俺にも共有してもらえるか。
自分の館は匿名の依頼を受け付けてないわ
I
け
can't
じゃ
do
ない
it.
けどあんたの依頼は断らせてもらうよだって見るからにただものじゃない受けたらこっちが損をしそうだ
この目のせいか。
Naruto or animation jutsu? What do you mean?
仮面まで
Is it
つけ
because
な
in
いで
Naruto they can
素
revive?
顔を見せるのが嫌なのかいとにかく生き残りのカーン・ルイヤ人なんてめったにお
See,
目にかか
Nefer
らない
is so
相手だ
beautiful. I think her model, her face,
俺
is
は
one of the
大
most
スレイド
beautiful
カーン・ルイヤ人だ。
designs
月の
I've
狩人は
seen
もともとレリルと呼ばれて
in
いた。
Genshin.
このことは貴様も知っているだろう。
Another one is
そしてあいつは俺の
Navia.
古い知り合いだ。
つまり
Navia is
あなたも
stunning.
常人とは
And
一線を
Jutsu
画
used
す
to
お方な
revive
の
the
ですね
dead for a period of
さてな。
time.
それに今となって
Ah,
は俺の身分など何の意味もない。
it's kind of sad when
ま
they
ず
kill
は
off
俺がなぜ
beloved
レリルの調
characters.
査を依頼
It's
す
like
る
we'll
の
never
か。
see him
そ
again
の理由だけ
unless
でも
they're
話
like
さ
in
せて。
flashbacks
同
or
じカーン
magically
ルイ
with
ヤ
the
人
power
が
of
古い
anime
知
they
り合い
get
ってこ
revived.
とは
What are you
昔は
taking
友
notes
人だ
of,
ったって
Yaki?
と
What are you
ころか
taking
ね
notes of?
なんで彼は五大罪人に
Are
な
you
ったの
taking notes of how to
はあ、俺の知
how
る情
to
報を
prepare my
共有
horns
しよ
for consumption?
う。カーン・ルイヤの過去。
Speaking of consumption, yesterday I made air fryer
全て記憶
French
している
toast.
から
It was so
この
delicious.
話を
It was
人
so
に語るの
delicious
は
I almost
これが
tweeted
初めて
about
だ。
it and made me
人
dance.
々が言うように
Eggy,
五大罪人は
milky
それ
bread.
ぞれ欲
Eggy
望を
milky
抱い
bread.
て
How to seduce
そ
a
して
demon?
アリスがカーン・ルイヤを瓦解させ
No
彼ら
need
を
to
落とす
seduce
ために用い
me.
た
I am
手段
always
が
chasing
欲
after
望
you.
の増幅だっ
What
た。
more seduction do you
未来
need?
を読み解く預言者ベズルフ
Unless
ェ
you're
ル
like, you're already
知識を
fooled.
司る賢者フロプタチュール創造を渇望する黄金レインドット力の極致を求める極悪鬼スルトロッチそして狂気の中で月を噛み砕こうとする月の狩人レリル 5人のうち俺が唯一理解できないのがレリルだ。あいつに大きな野望がある
There's
と
a
は
demon
思
of
う。
that.
だが
Your
なぜ一晩で
technique,
他の奴
your
らと同
technique,
じ道を
Misha,
た
is
どったのか。
dropping really fire pickup lines. That is
あんたにも
your
彼がああなった
biggest
理由はわからない
weapon
し、その
as the
変化
demon
は
of
突
lust,
然だったっ
I
てこ
think.
とだね。
Unless you have something else in your...
アビスが彼らに渡
unless
し
you
た
have like a
っての
secret
は
trump card
具
for
体的にどう
raising
いうことだ？
and seducing.
その前後で何か事件でもあったとか？
いざ話すとなるとどこから始めるべきか。あれはカーン・ルイヤの国実王朝時代のことだ。俺の兄預言者ベズル・フェルニルは国王の命を受けて王宮へと向かった。だ
Just
が
gonna read this.
そ
I
こで
feel
ベ
like
ズ
this is
ルを待っていた
important.
のは国王に目を刺され投獄されるというあまりに非道な運命だった。この知らせを聞いた俺は激しい怒りに駆られた。集められるだけの仲間を集め、そしてベズルを救出。あの世の出来事は数百年の時を経て。
No eating your tail? I thought it was eat all you can tail. Is it not? Is that not free for all? That's what I thought. It was a presumption. It looks delicious. If not food, why food shaped? The king gouged out his brother's eyes? That's so brutal. The king gouged out his brother's eyes. Crazy. You might think with how Genshin looks that they'd be so tame and wholesome, but you know, hidden in the lore, there are some implied, or not even implied, this is like explicit brutality and gore.
だが仲間だと信じていた奴らに俺は裏切られた。おまけに助けようとしたベズルにもな。あ
Stop
いつ
licking.
はアビスの力を分け合い、俺を見捨てたんだ。
I'll go eat din din, yay! Enjoy your din din! Eat well, jellyfish! Yum 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 yum. Yum 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 yum. Enjoy your Korean dinner. Enjoy your time eating. It was nice to catch up with y'all again. It was really nice to see you! I'm so happy, jellyfish! Annyeong! Annyeong! Yeah, eat well. See you again soon. See you too! See you too! I'll see you around. Maybe on Discord or Yuffie stream. Who knows? We'll always bump into each other. Enjoy your dinner. Thank you. Thank you. See you soon.
なるほど。そういう因縁があったんだね。で、報酬は何を用意するつもりだい？
talagang pera.
何事に
この依頼に見合う報酬が何かは俺にもわからない。だがレリルは昔から狂っていたわけではなかった。あいつはカーン・ルイヤのある期間を属する普通の人間だったんだ。
Maybe.
レリルの過去を明らかにすることは
I'm
今
always
の貴
lurking
様た
in
ちにとって
Discord.
必要なことだ。
Not really always.
依頼を
When I have
受けるかどうか
heavy
判
work,
断するまで
not work,
奴に
heavy
関する情
school
報を
stuff.
いくつか共有しよう。
I literally
対策を
avoid
立てるに
Discord
は
because it
そ
might
れが
consume
不
a
可
lot
欠
of
だからな。
time.
そいつは助かれ。こうも偶然月の狩人と因縁を持つ凄腕の剣士に出会えるとはな。まさに棚からくるむかけってやつだ。
Who knew having a Canadian friend would come in this handy?
実に素晴らしいですね。よろしければ肖像画を1枚いただけませんか？
いやいや、普通にランプがあるだろ。
今のはただの褒め言葉ですよ。少々大げさでしたでしょうか。では次からはもう少し控えめにしましょ
ダインスレイブさんの話はよくわかった。後でまた2人で話そう。
ちょっといいかな。一つみんなに共有しておきたいことがあるの。
We're talking. DMs. Oh, that was one line. One line. You recount meeting the knave and how the iridescent moon's marrow was retrieved from the crimson moon space. So yeah, Arlecchino is carrying the crimson moon now. We have a moon inside us as well, and Columbina has a moon as well. We're moon holders, moon bearers. You make it clear the knave chose to help you of her own accord, then conclude by reporting how the hearts of the three moons are finally in your hands. Oh, we don't have the moon specifically, but we have the hearts of the three moons. And I don't know how we're gonna use it against your powers, I guess. Powers. Moon power!
だが、今のところそのような兆しは見えないが。
実はもう少し時間が必要そうなの。みんなにはたくさん助けてもらったから正直に話すね。今の私はかなり力を取り戻せてるけど、
yeah, the moon arrows, the hearts and the moon arrows. That's the one we almost stole, right? Our fake twin sibling stole, but it was actually in the Fatui. Then we got it back, and now it's in Colombina. And, I think, or was it? Is it in us? I forgot. Basta, we have three. We have three Maros. One in Colombina, one in MC, and one in Arlecchino. The one we retrieved during the first half.
もしかするとここを離れるその日までずっと続く可能性もある。それでも私は最後までみんなと一緒に月の狩人と戦う。アルレッキーノが言ったように、これはお返しというより親しみと感謝の気持ち。
クータル。
月の狩人を撃つのはとても難しいことだから、力を回復させるのと同時にもっと情報を集める必要があると思う。
there you go. Frost Moon is in Colombina. The Eternal Moon is inside us, and the Iridescent Moon, the one we got for Arlecchino, is in Arlecchino.
だが最終的にどれを選ぶか
How many?
次の
How many
3つの
moons
疑
are
問の
there?
答えによって決まる。月の狩人は本当に殺せるのか、あいつは何を経験したのか。一つ目についてはちょうどここにアルベド2
Also, we already have all three, and we're counting on that to defeat with the help of, you know, the
2つ目
gang.
と3つ目はおそらく
Defeat him.
レフェルを頼ることになる。すまんが今はお前の有能さに希望を託すしかない。
へえ、私に希望を託すね。
感謝する。
Yaki,
私にとっては
you look
いささか
snackable.
信じがたいことだが。
英月氏の言うことは
According to Lama, the iridescent moon's remnants was nowhere to be
ネガティブに
found.
なるとヤホダみたいになるし、おべっかを言うときはフリンズそっくりだ。
そんな滅相もない。僕はおべっかを言うような人ではありませんよ。
Ladies, please.
お二人はそのまま楽しい会話をどうぞ続けてください。僕のことは気になさらず。
楽しいね。ここを出るのが嫌になるぐらい。
きっとネフェルは最後まで助け
But
てくれ
in
る
the
んだ
web
ろうな。
event, we see the iridescent moon turned into the crimson
へ
moon.
え、どうしてそう思うのか
Is
ね。
there a reason
報
why?
酬が足りない
Are
って言
they
い出したらどうする
interchangeable
つも
or
り
not?
だ
They're not
い？
supposed to be
お
interchangeable,
金の問
right?
題ではない。そなたは月の狩人を嫌っておるように見
I
える。
saw this scary theory that
それだ
we're
けで
kind
十
of
分
like in
な動機
hell
になるだろう。
二人とも互いの
because
こ
the
とを
real
よく理
moon
解し
is
ているよう
beneath
だ
us and
な。
the sky is fake or something like that.
ファルカ
It
大団
was
長のそ
too
の
big
口ぶり
brain for my little
次
brain
のおべっか
to
男にでもなる
comprehend.
つもりですか？
ラウマ、
Because why is the sky
私は
fake?
あんたと違って人
Why
々
is
か
the
ら期待さ
moon
れるのが好きな
beneath
わけじゃ
us?
ないん
The
だ
real
よ。
moons are beneath
そうなの
us.
か。だが私は他人に期待したいと思っておる。
Oh, the moon is above the fake sky. Thank you for clarifying that.
私は厭わ
Above
な
the
い。
fake sky. Is Celestia in the fake sky or above the fake
さっさと
sky?
動くよ。
We can see
ライ
it,
スレーブさ
right?
ん、
We can
二人
see
で
it.
話そう。旅人、用がなかったら後で私についてきてくれるかい？
ふん、気づいちまったよ。ネフェルのことは俺よりもラウマに任せた方がうまくいくってな。
Indeed. If we want the first cooperation, we must go through Lama. Lama is very
面白いことを言います
persistent
ね。
when it comes to Nefer. I didn't hear the theory about the moon beneath us.
正
Well,
し
it's
い
just a
から面
fan
白いんですよ。
theory. Maybe I can
今
look it
更
up.
気づい
Should
た
I
んで
look
す
it
か
up?
っ
Where's my
て
phone?
ね。
Maybe I lost it. I didn't even like it. I mean, I didn't like physically like it when I saw the post. Irminsul. What is Irminsul? I lost it. I lost it. It was quite interesting and scary. The theory. I love it when, you know, fans make like really interesting theories in Genshin. What I'm scared of, like no hate to Elysia, of Honkai Impact, but there's like not a theory? Speculation that Tsaritsa might be inspired by Elysia because she is also like the Tsaritsa of love or something like that. After a short chat, Albedo and Durin head off with Varka on what they describe as a sample finding mission. Everything is scientific when it comes to Albedo. Lama steps out for a while, then comes back loaded up with emergency medicine. She tells you that while people rarely expect to get hurt, it's her duty to be ready when they do. Oh, sweet Lama. Thank you, Lama. Lama, Mama, Lama. Me and Paimon wait patiently for Nefer, content to see how well everyone is working together. Once Nefer is finished, you follow her and Lama back to the curatorium. So she's the mandatory Hoyo pink hair waifu? I think so. Because she's already Cyrene. Cyrene is an XP. Cyrene of Starrail is an XP of Elysia, right? And they're speculating that maybe the Tsaritsa, the Archon of Snezhnaya, is gonna be an Elysia XP as well. Because, you know, she has a lot of themes of love in lore as well, or what we know about her so far, like from the voice lines of the Harbingers. There's an angle that she might be, you know, doing stuff out of love as well. Tsaritsa has silver hair though? Really? I hope so. I really hope she's not gonna be Elysia. I want her to be her own self. I mean, we've waited years hearing little bits of stuff about her. We've fought every Harbinger that tried to steal the noses of every nation we've been to, just for her to be like an XP of an old Honkai character. What's more, so it's gonna be so annoying if she keeps talking to us about love and romance. Nuh-uh, I don't think so. I want her to be a little evil. I want her to be a better Archon than Farina. Because for me, Farina is like one of the best. Farina Focalors. I want her story to be better than that. You like pink hair wife? Well, who knows, you know? She hasn't been fully revealed yet. She might have silver hair, or they might do a pink hair on her. They already revealed her silhouette in one of the trailers. I see, so she has silver hair. What if it's a color grading thing and she has a pink hair actually? Clarky wants pink hair. This is pink hair, but she's not waifu. Who has pink hair? Wait, who has pink hair? I don't really have a lot of female characters, but let's see. Do you have any pink hair in Genshin? I don't have any pink hair in Genshin. This is a pink hair, but she's not a waifu. Semi-pink hair, purple hair. Ew, I hate this. Diona. Diona is not waifu. There you go, Clarky. Hi, Miko. How can I forget? The cutest pink hair. Fox, yay, Miko. Miko? Yay, Miko. Yeah, she is waifu. I remember the times everyone was like so excited. The Yay Miko Lakes. Oh, Charlotte, there you go. Do I have Charlotte? This is waifu. How do you like Dory? How do you like Dory, Clarky? Yeah, Charlotte is pink. Her or Dory, I don't know. If you get Dory as your waifu, you're gonna be so rich. Gonna be so rich. However, I don't think you're gonna see her as much. She's gonna be so busy. She's gonna be so busy with her business. You'll rarely see her. Charlotte as well, busy with her journalistic endeavors job. The scam artist. I really like, I don't play Dory. They say Dory's kit is not that good, but I really like it when Dory appears in the story. It's Yahoda! It's Yahoda, Misha. Clarky, we will know in 1 year if that Saritsa will indeed be an Alicia XP or a pink-haired girl. We will see. As of now, the confirmed thing is in her silhouette she has silver hair. Are we going back to rears fast?
あんたたちの実力は私も満足できるものだって言ってたよ。
ダイン、オイラたちのことを信頼してくれてるんだな。
あんたの決断力と腹の座り具合には
Already explained Charissa's reason for getting all the noses. Maybe you have and I just forgot. I'm sorry.
ネベルも決断力があって頭がいいよな。
Last stream, can you refresh me? Was it because of love? Was it also? It was because of love, right? Because we were comparing her to Senora. Was it? Question mark? It was, right? Oh no! It was. There you go. Kinda remembered it. It was. So you know, there's a love theme in there. A love. Tragic love. Kaya nga, we're gonna be pusong bato eh, because love makes you do crazy things. Love makes you wage war against other nations. Love brings destruction. But love can make you whole as well. But it's better to steer away from it. Nah. I think we'll end the stream after this conversation. I am hungry. Thank you, Misha, for the lore stuff. Weaker constitution, I shouldn't be here. Thanks for Sekai! Hello! Thank you for being here! We're doing good. We're doing great. School-wise. Hello, Sekai. I missed you. I just gonna finish this conversation. If it's gonna finish soon.
その通り。今回の任務はすっごく難しい。つまり、もしもの時の命綱ってこと。
School is almost done. You're almost free. Like, are you gonna graduate soon? For real? How are you? I'm doing well. I'm doing school stuff as well, but not as close to how hard yours is, I imagine. I'm good. And I'm glad you're almost done with school. And you're gonna be free. Let's go. Done with this semester. That's fine. I'm happy as well. Because in here, almost done with this semester as well. The third is okay. I'm happy that you're gonna get a break. You deserve it. The third descender and the Celesta both fell in love. Then the king said that if he wants to marry the Celesta, he must open the gates of Celestia. He obliged but got killed, and his body got turned into the 7 noses. There you go. I must keep that in mind. That Misha already explained this to me. His body got turned into the 7 noses. That's why the Sarista is hellbent on getting those noses back. He even did a contract that ends all contract with Morax, with Zhongli, right? That's how much he needs the noses. And she's gonna wage war against Celestia. That's good. That's good. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna get started momentarily.
ラインスレーブさんは
Hey,
他に何か言っておったか
I'm gonna continue this off stream because I'm gonna din. Do your evil laugh, meh.
Adoptable 24 just followed.
Adoptable, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. Apology, but we are ending. But thank you so much for the follow. She's collecting the 7 noses to try and get her lover's body back, maybe to revive him. Probably, we'll see. But like, if I were a harbinger and if that was the reason why my Sarista wanted me to get the noses, I'd be pretty annoyed. I thought we were here to save the world, the good of mankind, and you're just doing this. Not that I'm minimalizing it, but you know, to revive someone, waging war, destroying people. You know what? Remember what Scaramouche did in Inazuma? Lives lost, relationships destroyed, just for you to get your one person, your lover back. I don't think that's fair. But I'm prejudging, I'm sorry. Who knows? She might have a deeper meaning. No, it's Genshin after all. The lore goes deep. In love comes sacrifices. I'm never sacrificing myself for love. No. Just kidding, guys. Love is great. Love is beautiful. Love is a noble. Love is a noble, and love is a beautiful thing to have. What am I saying? Well, yeah, we are ending. I'm glad you like the new model. I'm glad you like the new model. I'm still gonna have a little bit of think if I'm gonna use the old one or this one. Kinda leaning towards this one. I know you guys are really kind and you're still gonna support me even if I use the old one. Even if this one is, you know, it looks more premium, I think, but the old one has its own charms and adorableness. I think I'm still single. Being single is the best way to go, because when you're not single, you gotta give more of yourself and your time and your money to someone else, you know. It's good to be single. Just me, myself, and I. That's the best way to go. Very nice. Thank you, guys. So yeah, we're gonna end. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for chatting with me, accompanying me, the bits and the follows and the subs. I didn't expect that, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And you guys take care, okay? Take care. I will see you around. And we're not gonna raid. Have a wonderful rest of your days. Have good meals if you're gonna eat after this. And yeah, see you around. Just remember, I love you all so much. Bye bye. Chorizo! Chorizo!